open to the audience for miscellaneous comments. I will remind you that caucus was the time for the give and take. If you want to come up and make a statement and address it to the entire council, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Good evening, Tom.
Tom Jarvis, 224 Crescent Ridge Drive. Number one, Councilman Bob, I want to thank you for the meeting Saturday. Long time since Ward 1 seen a councilman that actually acts like a councilman. Thank you. Good for you. Thanks for the effort. Number two, you mentioned the Calvin Park Rec Center, the old rec center, and I heard her say that you don't have money to do anything with it. That thing's got a leaking roof. It gets worse the whole time it leaks. We just blew $23,000 on trees at Calvin Park, or John Glenn Park. We might consider doing something with that roof. Destruction of public property. You guys started when you abandoned it. Number three, Mr. Snitsky, you mentioned that the Planning Commission adopted the project next into our master plan. Tonight on 5 o'clock news, Mayor Kurtz stood up there and said they've got quite an uproar. Independence people don't like Project Next either. Mayor Kurtz stood up there and made a very poignant statement. He said residents have a concern about what's going to go there, but they're protected because they get to vote on anything that is an existing zoning. We don't have that coverage in Seven Hills. Back in 2006, when the Benkowski wrecking team was at work, which included a number of you, voters were hoodwinked and had given up that right. I asked the 2013 Charter Review Committee to consider removing that amendment, and they ignored me. That amendment strips voters of any right on any zoning issue in that area at the Rockside, Seven Hills, Independence border. It's the only property in Seven Hills that's like that. Council decides everything. It should go back to where the voters have control over zoning. It's just wrong. And Kurtz pointed out, they have it, other ones don't. We're one of the other ones that don't. The 2013 Charter Review Committee was chaired by Planning Commission Chairman Ed Foley, illegally appointed by Mayor Dell'Aquila. Mr. Barth, illegally appointed to that same Charter Review Committee. They ignored it. The mayor violated the charter by putting them on there. I asked Mr. Barth to resign from the committee. He refused. The Charter Review Committee in 2013, their sole accomplishment was to remove the provision for a rec center or recreation board. Take the resident input out of the recreation, the running the recreation program in Seven Hills. Keep the recreation center the mayor's play toy. That's all it was. And the reason it got pulled out is because I was asking Mayor Dell'Aquila to populate a recreation board. Mayor Benkowski before him didn't populate a recreation board. $300,000, $400,000 losses. Maybe one of 3 residents who would serve for free might have said, hey, maybe we could save some money here. But we had to keep this in the mayor's domain only. This is wrong. You guys got to consider giving voters, residents, a voice in development here. You try to do it your way with the John Glenn deal, it didn't work out. You're just going to wind up with another battle of some sort. Put it back to voters where it belongs. Quit violating the damn charter. Thank you.
Secondly, a number of things with regard to Mr. Jarvis. We're used to a number of exaggerations and off-the-wall complaints from Mr. Jarvis. I would just remind that the people voted down the John Glenn proposal, and so therefore, Mr. Jarvis, they did have a voice. With regard to charter review, our law director interprets the meaning of our charter. Charter Review Commission is a recommending body. It doesn't make any decisions, as you know, or you should know. Council had every opportunity, and they did exercise this right, to either accept those recommendations, deny them, or insert something other, and they didn't do that. So your argument fails on several different points. Again, we're used to these kinds of complaints from Mr. Jarris. I think it was he who warned us that we were going to have a maximum security prison where Hannibal Lecter could be your neighbor. So please, Mr. Jarris.
How about the illegal appointments?
Mr. Jarris, I just addressed that.
No, you didn't.
With respect to ODNR, yes.